that short break, and first thing we come to do this morning on Awake is discuss human resource management. Now, we know that if you're part of any company or corporate organization, you know human resource is a very integral part of its organization structure. Now, I have with me a gentleman. He's from he's executive director of the Institute of HR Management in Ghana, HR Management Practitioners, and he's in the person of Ebenezer Agbettor.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I hope the rains good thing the rains didn't keep you away.
No, it didn't. Obviously, I was concerned about the traffic. Obviously, when it gets a bit hazy,
yes,
you know,
that's
the traffic
true.
can get a bit tight. But,
yes, but it's a good thing when you see people on time on a rainy day, because you know in Ghana, once a rainy day comes, everything's left up in the open.
You're right. Not for me. Every day on time.
Good to know. Yeah. So, of course, we are here to talk about human resource management.
Yes.
And you're part of the Institute of HR Management Practitioners in Ghana.
Yes.
Can you just tell us a bit about your organization as a whole?
Okay. The Institute of Human Resource Management Practitioners, Ghana, is an autonomous national professional body.
Yes.
It was actually founded about 35 years ago. This is 1978.
Yes.
And it was actually registered in 1981 as a professional body. Its main mission was, and still is, to advance the human resource management practice in Ghana. In pursuit of this, the Institute seeks to achieve four main objectives. One, to formulate professional standards to guide the conduct of professional HR practitioners in Ghana.
Yes.
Secondly, it also provides a forum for continuing education and learning for HR practitioners in Ghana. Thirdly, it also provides a forum for continuing education for those who are in practice.
Yes.
And then last but not the least, they also provide opportunity and learning for those who aspire to become HR practitioners.
Yes.
So these are the main four objectives that the Institute seeks to achieve.
And now we know with many modern organizations, the HR department is an integral part of a function of a company. Yeah. But some employees are a bit, I guess some may not be as clear as to what HR management really is about, especially within a company. If you could just define that for us, the role of HR.
Obviously, HR, mainly in brief, is meant to manage the human resource of any organization. In every organization, we have all kinds of assets. You have the equipment, etc. But trust me, it takes the human beings to make the other physical assets to come together to provide the result that the company desires to achieve.
Yes.
So if you get managing the people right, then trust me, you are assured of success.
Yes, and I think that I know every company wants to make their bottom line when it comes to just getting their bottom line done. But when it comes to managing people, even within smaller structures or even in your home, it's a difficult thing to do. So even within a bigger organization, you have so many people and so many personalities. But what exactly is the role of HR in managing workers, in sense of, are they the voice of the worker or the voice of management? How do they do that?
HR mainly is meant to ensure that the best out of the employees are out to achieve the organization's goals. And as HR practitioner, your role specifically is to ensure that you optimize the talent of the employees within the organization. The truth of the matter is that traditionally people have taken this for granted, and as such, certain organizations tend to, kind of keep a close eye to this particular, aspect of the organization. But then, within the multinationals or in the advanced countries, they know, and as a result, they have made it. In Ghana now, as we are now having a lot of multinationals in the country, they are kind of opening up this area where in the past we seem to have closed our eyes to. So for you to get the bottom line, just as you said, then you must look at your people.
people.
They all make the difference.
The difference. Exactly. And it seems like as more modern organizations spring up, like you said, also Western organizations come in. We are learning a bit about how the international best standard practice in HR management. But if you take a look at the old school way of HR management, we know that they used to be called personnel officers, and their work was not exactly it wasn't defined by much. If anything, they were limited to a few announcements here and there, making sure information is ferried out. But how has their role changed over time from personnel management to now HR executives?
Okay, just as you rightly said, traditionally the role had been termed as administration, and that is mainly to do with transactional operational activities, routinely doing leave, promotion, salaries here and there. But really, as you handle people in that manner, then you'll be losing out so much on something. And where you lose out the point is, then you are not placing emphasis on talent of the employees. Yes. And this is where now the role has been defined as you are the advisor to the chief executive when it comes to managing people. This means that every decision that is taken by top management, HR must be there to advise, because every business decision that you take has human implication.
Yes.
And it takes the specialist to tell you which type of skill that is required at what time, the level of it, to be able to deliver that business decision that you have taken.
And Mr. Agbettor, just to be clear on this, we know that there's always a conflict with workers and management when it comes to HR, whose interest is being served. And at one point, it's one thing, some workers may find that maybe HR management might say one thing to them and say another thing to the executives. I know it's a fine line that HR executives have to balance in terms of making sure both parties, their wishes are addressed. How best can an HR management executives do this?
When you put people in the dark, then all kinds of suspicion comes up, and as a result of that, it actually widens the gap between management and then the staff. So really going forward, it is all about communication, engaging employees, and this is done through proper communication. If you don't do that, then you leave the grapevine to thrive, and out of that, confusion and problems.
But is the communication also on the part of HR trying to also communicate the wishes of the workers? I don't know how best are they advocates for the workers sometimes? Can they in their role also take up the workers, advocacy and try and make management understand?
The role of the HR is to ensure harmony in the company. And therefore, it will require engaging both sides, management and then employees, ensuring that they're constantly interacting. There's a flow of information. We engage them, they share their ideas, with the management. And here again, the kind of culture that must ensure that it prevails is an environment where my opinion matters, where I am heard, where I'm given quite a bit of respect, because every little thing that I add up helps to bring the bottom line. And therefore, if that kind of culture prevails within an organization, then trust me, you can ensure that everybody in there feels owner of the company. I have a share, because if it gets better, I stand to gain. If it goes down, I am losing out. And therefore, all hands get on deck, and we can all achieve the bottom line. So it's about employee engagement. That is the key. If you don't engage them, then naturally you leave room for people to begin to suspect things here and there. So transparency will flow out of constant engagement.
Because I feel like with some organizations you might see that HR, to have that open door policy, it might be one thing to try your best to advocate for some of the workers, but when you go on the part of management, sometimes there is that hard line that must be adhered to. So how do executives, I know I've asked before, I just want to get that answer, how best they can get both parties to agree on a common interest?
If just go back to basis. If you're in the house with your wife, and you hide your salaries. If your wife comes and says, buy me Bentley, obviously she feels she deserves it and you can afford it. Are you with me? But if you bear it out, that this is my salary. So with that knowledge, I think the wife would never say, go and buy me a Bentley, if when she knows that this income can never afford to purchase a Bentley. Are you with me? So transparency, management must bear it out. The old days of covering and covering and covering, and then using that as a power tool to then pull people here and there and create a bit of division among staff, so that you think that will then prolong your stay, is an archaic way of managing people. Transparency. This is the books. This is how much we are making. This is the cost implications. Look at it. Do you think we can afford it? You should, look at the figures. So when these things are known to everybody, really it makes it easier for certain misunderstanding to be easily settled.
Yes, and I think that is exactly what I thought I needed to hear, because in getting that transparency, I think workers can also relax a bit and understand what their company is about and the current state of their company.
Absolutely.
So when you say that you have the Western companies now have a positive image on Ghanaian companies, because we kind of see what they're doing within their organizations. Can you mention some of the things they are actually bringing in and some of the challenges we currently have with Ghanaian organizations and how HR is structured?
Within, I wouldn't say all, most of the traditional companies within the Ghanaian community, they still handled HR transactionally, okay, which means they push the HR just to handle leave here and there, instead of they being a strategic partner. When you talk about a strategic partner, you're talking about a HR specialist who is more or less so close to the chief executive that every business decision that the chief executive comes out with, then the HR specialist will say, this particular decision requires certain number of skilled individuals. As to when do we implement this business decision? Do we have the skill set internally at the moment? If we don't, do we then go out and headhunt and bring those skill set in here? If we do that, how many of them do we bring in to come and do the training internally? So this is what the specialist will then come out and say.
So you're seeing the companies move away from the management just directing HR to just go and do their bidding.
Absolutely.
But come back and actually put some inputs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But why didn't we have this before? Like, as creating the whole department was to give a sense of, well, we are actually now taking on people who can manage our workers. So why wasn't this there before?
Rightly said. I mean, and even still prevails, where people are brought in from all kinds parts of the department of the organization, and then either they don't really like you or they can't find where to put you, then they throw you to HR and said go there, and then just stay out of the way, and the person goes there, just push papers, and that's it. Just that's it. He waits when the chief executive directs that sack that person. It's like he has no way of challenging the chief executive. Quickly he takes the paper and pen and write and dismiss somebody. And trust me, if you do that now, the person, all that he needs to do is to take you to Labor Commission, and you will be in serious trouble. And what happens is that when they are taken to the Labor Commission, the chief executive is never there. It's the HR person who actually wrote the letter. Meanwhile, it was directed by the chief executive. But here we're saying that HR practitioners, if you know your job, when the chief executive tells you to dismiss somebody, say, hang on, wait a minute. What is the policy? What is the procedure? Has he been given a warning letter before? If so, how long has that warning letter been on his file? There's a whole array of procedures that needs to be respected.
Yes, Mr. Agbettor, but it sounds all well and good, but I'm sure not a lot of HR executives in Ghana today can actually have that mandate. Is this something that is in Ghanaian law, or is it within a company's own mission statements? Is this like
it's in the Labor Act?
So it's actually part of the law. So an HR executive can bring up these issues.
Absolutely. And the problem is the fact that some of the so-called HR are not that trained. So they are not even confident enough to stand up to the chief executive and say, you are wrong. On this one, you are wrong. This is how to go about it. And if you know your staff and the chief executive is trying to push it, you say to him, I'm sorry, I will not do this.
Yes.
Because it then borders on my professional integrity. You must stand up to what is right.
Yes.
Don't just buckle, because you want a salary at the end of the day. Then what are you made of? And that is why this institute is there. People must come and get trained. And if you're trained and you have the skills on your fingertips, you know exactly what to do.
So I think it's good you mentioned this, because this will be a good segue to mention about how you collaborate with industry at this point to make sure, because I'm sure you can offer your services to them, that
Absolutely.
We are here, we can actually train your personnel if they are not trained already. Because as you mentioned, some people just happen to get HRs. Why don't you just go to HR? But it takes training, and it's a professional skill.
Absolutely. It's a professional skill, just like for you to be termed as an accountant, you go through a professional training, education. The same way for you to become an HR practitioner, you must go through a professional training program. And the Institute of Human Resource Management Practitioners, Ghana, is there to do exactly that.
Okay,
and do exactly that.
And one last question I want to squeeze in before I want to just ask you your opinion on this, because we know that in Ghana, a lot of the time we have issues, challenges within our own organizations, especially maybe in the public sector. You could have issues of corruption, of laziness, of just having people in an organization that are free to do as they like. What exactly is HR? How can HR help to curb this problem in such organizations?
You're talking in terms of
the people, because we have in the public sector especially, we have issues of mismanagement of funds, people getting away with so much. And how does HR factor into that? How do they help, or how do they stop that process?
It takes certain values and principles to be able to stand firm against what is wrong. So you're talking about ethics. Okay, ethics. As you come on the program, we will teach you all that, so that you know what is right and what is wrong. And we will also make sure that the policies within your company is fully written clearly and is made available to every single employee. For us HR, that is our sole responsibility. Make sure policies and procedures, rules and regulations are written. Yes. And they are written in such a way that everybody can understand, and they are made available. For me, that is key. Some, they have it, but it's sitting on people's tables, and then as and when they feel, they will just put it out and look at it and look at your face and decide as to which one they will apply to.
Thank you. And I think that's mostly done in terms of disciplining an employee.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, the employee finds out, well, there was this law in our organization you just broke. But this is an interesting conversation. But also, I think our time is run up. But I do understand that there's a center that the institute is opening up, or there's a new program that you're ushering out.
Yeah, we've been running the programs for years now. We run the professional certification program. That is when you want to become a certified HR practitioner. It's got 4 levels: 1, 2, 3, and 4. We ran it from August to December, and then we ran one from September through to January to June. So please, if you are interested, just give us a call on 0302 767 413, or go on the website, which is www.humanresource.org.gh.
So,
but in addition to this, we also run what we call continual professional education. Let's say we run 2 days program or 3 days program in performance management, professional skills and training.
These are for executives already.
Exactly. Okay. And then in addition to that, lastly, we run what we call the professional HR solutions.
Yes.
That means it's consultancy. So if you have any HR issue, you can approach us and we will be there to deal with it for you.
So I think Mr. Agbettor has said it all. Definitely it was a great conversation, because I think HR is so important in the organizational structure. I'm part of a company myself, so I really wanted to hear what my HR can do for me. And I'm sure the viewers too were quite happy to hear about that too. So we've been speaking to Mr. Ebenezer Agbettor. He's the Executive Director of the Institute of HR Management Practitioners right here in Ghana. We're going to take another short break and we'll be back with another interview. Stay tuned. Thank you so much, sir.